Picture this. You're walking through your city, and you notice a small park tucked between apartment buildings. One day, you see a for development sign planted in the grass, and your heart sinks. This little green space, full of memories for the neighborhood kids and weekend picnics, is about to disappear. You think of the parents who take their children here every weekend, of the elderly couple who have their morning coffee on the same bench every day, of the teenagers who gather under the shade of the trees after school. And that feeling, that spark of something has to be done, is exactly how most campaigns begin. It's rarely a polished plan or a well-funded initiative. It's emotion, urgency, and the decision to not let something important slip away. Campaigns start small, often with just one or two people who care enough to take action. Maybe it's a phone call to a local council member, or a post on a neighborhood social media group, or a conversation with a few friends who share your concern. The key is clarity. What exactly do you want to change? I want to make things better is too vague. I want to save this park from being turned into a parking lot and establish a community garden within a year is clear and actionable. Every choice you make, from how you frame your message to which people you approach, should reflect that clarity. Once you know your purpose, the next step is understanding your audience. You can't change the world by talking to everyone at once. Who are the people who care most, who can act, who can amplify your message? If we stick with the park example, it might be local families, school children, community groups, and nearby businesses. Understanding their motivations allows you to communicate in ways that resonate. Families may respond to heartfelt stories about the park's role in children's lives, and teens might engage through a creative social media challenge to share their memories. Local businesses might be motivated by the park's potential to attract foot traffic and strengthen community ties. It's also important to remember that campaigns don't need to start huge. In fact, starting small is often smarter. Many movements that seem massive in hindsight began with a handful of people brainstorming in a living room or a Zoom call. That small group is your experimental lab. You try ideas, see what resonates, and refine your approach. A social media post that gets ignored teaches you something. A small, well-attended community meeting reveals what messages inspire people. These early moments are opportunities to learn and grow without wasting resources or burning out. Another key ingredient is collaboration. One person can spark a campaign, but partnerships allow it to flourish. Local nonprofits, school groups, or even influencers who care about your cause can amplify your voice and add credibility. For example, if a local environmental group is already running cleanup events, you might co-host a #Save the Park weekend, combining your campaign with their existing audience. This not only increases reach, but strengthens the sense that your movement is part of a broader effort, rather than isolated activism. And campaigns are living things and they evolve. That's why flexibility is crucial. Some ideas won't land, some messages will fall flat, and feedback may challenge your assumptions. That's not failure, it's insight. When you notice a certain social media post generating engagement, lean into that style. When an event doesn't attract the turnout you hoped for, try a different format or change the timing. Being willing to adapt, respond, and innovate is one of the most powerful tools a campaigner has. And momentum is another area where campaigns often stumble. The initial spark is thrilling, people share posts, attend events, and maybe even get media coverage. But weeks later, energy can fade. Life gets busy, Interest drops. This is where consistent engagement matters. For example, if the campaign is about saving the park, posting weekly updates about community meetings, volunteer actions, or small donations, keep people invested. It shows that their actions have impact, and it reminds them that this is an ongoing journey, not a single viral moment. Let's talk storytelling. Numbers and statistics are important, but people connect with stories. One family's weekend picnic at the park might illustrate the value of green space far more effectively than a spreadsheet showing how many trees are at risk. Stories create emotional resonance, making your campaign memorable, to say the least. Encourage your community to share their own experiences, photos, and even memories. This both strengthens the campaign narrative and also turns supporters into co-creators of the movement. And at the same time, think strategically about where and how you communicate. Some messages are best delivered face-to-face, through community meetings, local events, workshops, and others reach farther online, social media posts, videos, email newsletters. Both are important, and when combined thoughtfully, they amplify each other. A well-timed Instagram story can drive people to a local event, which in turn generates content and testimonials for future posts. Each channel has a role, and understanding the rhythm between them ensures your campaign grows cohesively rather than chaotically. Finally, always keep your eye on the bigger picture. A campaign isn't just about, one victory. It's about building relationships, creating awareness, and cultivating a network of people who share your values. Celebrate small wins, a supportive council member, a successful neighborhood event, a viral post, whatever that may be, because each is a step toward the ultimate goal. And never underestimate the ripple effect. A single engaged supporter can bring in 5 more, and those 5 can bring in 10. Over time, these small actions compound into something much larger than you could have anticipated. So, to recap, every campaign begins with a spark, a personal moment that ignites urgency. It grows with clarity of purpose, understanding your audience, and starting small but intentionally. Collaboration multiplies your impact, flexibility allows you to adapt, and momentum is sustained by consistent engagement. Stories humanize your message, and thoughtful communication across multiple channels spread it effectively. And through it all, celebrating progress, nurturing relationships, and building a sense of community transforms a simple action into a movement. If there is one thing to take away, it's this. Campaigns aren't about doing everything at once. They're about starting, nurturing, and growing, and every journey begins with a single decisive step. Maybe that step starts with you.